Hey guys, it's Whitney. Welcome back to my channel. Today we're going to be playing Tabletop TBR, which if you are new here is my monthly TBR game that I play that is Dungeons and Dragons and tabletop gaming inspired, but in the simplest way. If you don't already know the rules of the game, I will leave a link down below with the video with the best rule description for you, because this month we're going to be playing a slightly altered edition that I'm calling the Haunted Dungeon Edition. If you're not interested in this like modified version explanation of things, you can just move right on ahead to the rolls. I'll put a timestamp somewhere down here. So what I've done is I took a bunch of prompts from different readathons happening in October. Some are spooky themed, Halloween themed, things like that. Others were not, or at least the prompts didn't really come off that way. The next thing I did was I decided to change what the different color spaces were for this Haunted Dungeon Edition, and I'll go over those in just a second. And the last thing that I did was I changed what the monster spaces are and also the ally spaces, but I'll get to those in a second as well. I think we'll go ahead and start with what I changed the colored spaces to, just because that's a fun story element of this game, and also a couple of the colors have something special for them. So the first one is the dark orange or the red space, and I changed this to jump scare. The light orange or just orange I changed to creaky floorboard. The yellow space I changed to mysterious bones. The pink space I changed to disembodied voice. The dark blue I changed to unexplained noise. The teal space I changed to hidden door, which is one of the special things that I decided to do. And for this one, it's really simple and it really doesn't change anything. It's just a little extra bit. If you land on a teal space, you still pick the prompt card like normal, but you also move to the next closest teal space, which just kind of, puts you ahead of where you were. The purple I changed to change in temperature. So sort of how like you're supposed to feel a decrease in temperature when there's a ghost or a spirit. And the last space, the green spaces, I changed to swarm of bats, which is another special space. It's got something else to go with it. So if you land on the swarm of bat space, the bats are going to chase you to a new space. So essentially you're going to roll again, but you're going to pick up a card and read the prompt for the color space you originally landed on, as well as pick a new card for the space that you landed on with your new roll. And when you get those prompts, you either have to try and pick a book that fits both of the prompts, or pick two books, one for each prompt. So that really, I guess, just depends on if you have a book that fits both prompts or not. So next up, let's talk about the monster spaces. So what I've done is I've implemented the use of a D8, and I have assigned a specific supernatural being to each number. So when you roll the D8, whichever number you land on after landing on a monster space is the being, the supernatural creature, whatever you want to call it, that you encountered and that you have to fight. So if you roll a 1, it's a werewolf. If you roll a 2, it's a zombie. If you roll a 3, it's a vampire. If you roll a 4, it's a demon. If you roll a 5, it's a fae. If you roll a 6, it's a ghost. If you roll a 7, it is a rougarou, which is a regional thing here in Louisiana. And if you roll an 8, it is a wendigo. Honestly, I can never remember if I'm saying that particular one right, but you know what I'm talking about. And the last updated thing are the ally spaces, which I'm calling a hiding space. And if you land on an ally card, it means you found a place to hide from the creepy things in the haunted dungeon. You can discard a challenge and pick any book you want. So this time we're going to be doing 6 rolls, and I've got all the normal stuff, the prompts, the monster cards, and the ally cards. And I have our little guy that we always have, our D20, but also this time we're going to be using a D8. So let's go ahead and do the first roll. That is a 5. I think that's one of the lowest rolls I've ever got. The first roll right out the gate is a teal space, and the teal spaces are hidden doors, so you go through the door to the next space of the same color is all that means. You move ahead some. So I have to go to the closest one, which is here. So we'll do that, and then we will draw our card, which I had upside down, and that is to read a fantasy by a Black author. So the first roll, I landed on a teal space, which is one of the special spaces. So I got to move to the next teal space, which didn't really affect anything. And the teal spaces are hidden doors. And for the prompt, I got read a fantasy by a Black author. So for this one, I decided to go with A Song of Wraiths and Ruin by Roseanne A. Brown. This is one that's been making the rounds on booktube, and it sounds phenomenal. It's a YA African-inspired fantasy written by a Black author. The second roll is 15. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. If he will stay up, that is an orange, a light orange. And the prompt for that is to read a book that seems like it would be scary or creepy. The second roll was orange, which is a creaky floorboard. And the prompt for that is to read a book that seems like it will be scary or creepy. And for this, I chose The Year of the Witching. I don't know all that much about this. I just know that it got a seal of approval from a friend of mine, and it sounds just right up my alley. There are witches, there are creepy forests, there's gore, and I mean, like, what more can I really ask for? Third roll is 5 again. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That is another light orange. I did double up on some of the prompts on the cards. So if the prompt is the same as the other one, I'm just gonna go to the next card and put the one I drew on the bottom. So this card is to read a dark academia. The third roll, I landed on another orange space, so we just have a really creaky floor happening. So many creaky floorboards. This dungeon obviously hasn't been maintained, and the prompt for this one was to read a dark academia, and I'm picking If We Were Villains by M.L. Rio. This is one that's been on my radar for a long time. It has to do with like Shakespeare and theater and stuff from what I remember. I don't remember all that much about it, but I did get confirmation that this is a dark academia from Allie over at Hardback Hoarder, who loves this book. The fourth roll is a 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. That is a dark orange. Come back, or a red. They just printed out funny. And for that prompt, we have read a book about witches. On the fourth roll, I ended up getting a red or dark orange space as it appears on the board, and that is a jump scare. And for this, the prompt was to read a book about witches, which I think I've had a few already that technically count, but I've decided to go with The Hellion by S.A. Hunt. This is a series about a witch hunter named Robin who is trying to avenge her mother, and this series is just, I don't even have words to describe this series besides amazing, and you should read it. This series I feel like would be really good to binge during like October. I wouldn't say that it has any Halloween vibes, but it's definitely like very atmospheric and about witches and a witch hunter. For the fifth roll, we got 16. Let me stretch and move which hand I'm gonna be in front of the camera. Let's use this one even though it's uncomfortable. Hi, how are you? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16. That's a pink. So the prompt for pink is to read a book with a face on the cover. For the fifth roll, I ended up getting a pink space, which is a disembodied voice. And the prompt for this one was to read a book with a face on the cover. And for this, I decided to choose Cemetery Boys by Aiden Thomas. This is one I was hoping I would be able to fit on this TBR, so I'm so glad that I did. This book's been getting a lot of hype, but even before the hype, this one was on my radar just because the cover was stunning. I don't know a ton about what it's about, other than there is a trans main character and a ghost boy, and apparently some baddie they probably have to take down. Yeah, apparently he summons a ghost and now he can't get rid of said ghost. And the sixth and final roll is 18. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, which is a green space. Now the green space is the other special space, which is Swarm of Bats. Bats chase you to a new location, which means I get to roll again, and I have to pick 2 prompt cards and try and pick a book that fulfills both of the prompts, or choose 2 books for, you know, 1 for each prompt. So I think this is my last Halloween specific card, so I'm gonna go ahead and pick it up. The prompt for the green is to read a book with a green cover. That's pretty easy. So now what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna take this stack that I made and I'm gonna shuffle them up, put them back, and then I'm gonna roll for my second space prompt or whatever. I haven't decided what's gonna happen if I get a monster space or an ally space on something like this, but we'll just roll with it as it happens. So that is 19. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19. So that is another dark orange. And that is to read a book with a monster. The 6th roll I landed on a green space, which landed me on Swarm of Bats. So I had to roll again and get another color so that when I draw my prompt cards I have 2. And the 2nd roll for this landed me on a red or dark orange space, which is a jump scare. And the prompt I got for a green space was to read a book with a green cover. And the prompt I got for a red space was to read a book with a monster. And for those prompts, I decided to go with The Language of Ghosts. This is a middle grade that fits the green cover challenge, and it probably has monsters in it. I'm kind of fudging this a little bit, but it's my game, so I can do that. Those were all of the original rolls that I wanted to do, but I really wanted to get a monster space, so I went ahead and did some bonus rolls. I'm trying to get a monster space. That's an 8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, which is yellow. Read a book with a cover you can't stop eyeballing. The first bonus roll I rolled, I landed on a yellow space, which are Mysterious Bones. And for this, the prompt was to pick a book with a cover that you can't stop eyeballing. And for this one, I couldn't decide, so I picked 3. I picked Gravemaidens, which is a book that has a cover that I absolutely love, and I had put on another TBR and didn't get to. The next one is Eva Evergreen. This is a middle grade that I've just been eyeing because it reminds me so much of Kiki's Delivery Service, and I love this cover. And the last one is Surrender Your Sons. This is just one that I've had my eye on for a long time because one of my friends has been just screaming about it ever since they learned about its existence. 8 again. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. That is a yellow again. Oh my god. Read a book with a symbol on the cover. The next roll that I ended up getting was also a yellow, so we're just like passing more and more Mysterious Bones. And that prompt ended up being to read a book with a symbol on the cover, which ended up being a lot harder to find than I thought it would be. But I decided to go with Runebinder, and if you look just like right here, there's some little symbols, and the title also has rune in it, so I'm gonna go with it because I looked at pretty much every book on my shelf and there weren't any. 16. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16. That's another yellow. I don't think we're gonna get a monster. Read a book with bones on the cover in the title. So I still hadn't gotten a monster space, so I decided I was gonna roll again and see if I could get it, and I again rolled another yellow space, so we're still passing Mysterious Bones, and this is just telling me to keep going because we're getting closer to a monster. But for this prompt, I got to read a book with bones on the cover or bones in the title. So for this, I ended up going with The Bone Shard Daughter, which is one of my most anticipated fantasies of the end of 2020. And I'm so excited to have this, and this cover is stunning, so I could have put it on another prompt too, but it just worked so well for this one. If we don't get it this time, I'm just gonna put myself on a monster space and we're just gonna roll the d8 because I said so. 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Ha! So d8. And that is a 5. So we encounter a Fae, and we have to roll the d20. 10 or above to beat it. 10 or below, we lose. If it's 10, we still lose. So, and that is a 5. I've never lost. Well, no, I think I've lost once. And since these are bonus rolls, like, this doesn't really count, but I may count the monster just, like, because I feel like it. But the other rolls don't count. I just wanted a monster. So, the card for this is to add a roll because of course it is, even though it's a bonus. We're gonna do it anyway. So 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Of course it's yellow. It's always yellow. And for this yellow space is to read a cover you can't stop eyeballing. I already got that one. So let's try the next one. So that is to read a book with a symbol on the cover. Already got that. Let me shuffle these again. So I'll try this one. And that is to read a book you can't stop eyeballing. Read a sequel. That'll work. I'll keep the monster challenge, but the other ones that I rolled are definitely bonus. And finally, we landed on our monster space. Finally, after so many failed attempts. And for once, I actually did lose to the monster. I rolled a 5, which is one of the lowest rolls I've probably ever gotten. I always roll high on this game for some reason. And the enemy that we ended up facing was a fae. So of course we lost. And the extra prompt that I ended up getting for losing to the monster was to add a roll. And I'm probably gonna keep that roll as an actual TBR piece. So my last roll landed me on yellow because of course it did. And that is, again, Mysterious Bones. And that is to read a sequel. And I decided to pick Faithless Hawk because I have been wanting to read this since before it came out. And I read the first book, and it was actually a really surprising book to me. It ended up being a 5-star that I didn't expect to happen. So I cannot wait to get to this, and I'm glad I was able to fit it on this TBR. So those were all the rolls. I hope you guys enjoy watching me do this weird stuff. But that is it for today. If you like this video, don't forget to go down below and give me a like, possibly, maybe, potentially subscribe if you want to see more of my content. But I will talk to you guys next time.